You're listening to the Gerardi Performance Podcast, hosted by Michelangelo Gerardi. This is the #1 fitness and lifestyle podcast to help you achieve your dream body and bulletproof mindset to live your best life, both physically and mentally. Enjoy the show.
What is up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. This episode, as mentioned, I want to give you a few steps. I have 5 here to help you lose weight if you don't have the time or just can't be bothered to count calories. Now, I will say that counting calories will be the most efficient in being sure that you're staying in a caloric deficit and thus dropping the weight and dropping the fat. But we don't all have time for that, and as my clients will tell you, I'm all about sustainability, so I've come up with a few different ways to help you be sure that we're staying on track. So the first tip that I can give you guys, if you're trying to lose fat, is to eat 3 meals a day, each containing a lean protein source, so that be meat, fish, tofu, and a big portion of non-starchy fibrous vegetables. So broccoli, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, things like that to help keep you full. So fiber will keep you full. Non-starch means that it's not going to have the carbs in it, which is awesome and what we want, right? So if we deplete ourselves of carbs, our body will use other energy sources to burn fat. So if we don't have the carbs, it's going to go to the fat, right? And that's what we want to burn is those fat stores. So protein sources, non-starchy vegetables, you want to have a smaller portion of carbs and fats. You don't have to avoid carbs, you don't have to avoid fats, but those should be on the smaller portion of the plate. So if you're thinking of your average size dish, right? Picture that in your head. I want you to think of half of that dish to be non-starchy fibrous vegetables. And then let's break it up into 3 other portions, right? So now let's think of the protein portion. Think of a fistful of protein or a palm size of protein, and then half of that for carbs and or fats. That's kind of how I want you to picture how your plate should look. So the next tip would be to eat your main meals roughly around the same time every day, because getting into a regular eating pattern helps out a ton. So if you're going to eat 7 a.m., have a snack at 10 a.m., then eat again at 1, eat a snack at 3, and then have dinner around 5 or 6. Stay in that rhythm and don't veer off from it as best as possible. Your body will adapt and will get used to eating at those times. So you'll know when you're about to get hungry. You'll be able to time that, and you won't be in a rush to go get something quick, or let's say stop at McDonald's, stop at a Chick-fil-A when you're starving because you have nothing to eat. You should prep your food and know when you're about to get hungry. Your body will adapt to those times, and so that way you know it's time to eat. So again, having a scheduled time to eat each day for each meal is super important. The third tip I want to give you is to have 2 small snacks per day, as kind of mentioned before. Preferably earlier in the day so we can spend the rest of the day kind of burning that off. And now I'm not saying your snacks should be these big giant things. I really want you to focus on 100, max 150 calorie snacks, and don't let them be high in fats. Fats have the highest amount of calories per gram. So for every 1 gram of fat, you have 9 calories, as opposed to protein and carbs. Every 1 gram of protein and carbs has 4 calories. So when you snack, try to make it a carby snack or a protein snack. Protein snacks such as protein bars, protein chips, a protein shake, beef jerky. Those aren't as tasty, obviously, as our carby snacks. So the snacks will have some sugar in it, usually to kind of just satisfy your craving, and that's okay. We all have them. It's completely normal, but just be sure that we're limiting them and just staying away from fats when you want to have a snack. So have the snack, whatever you want it to be. Twice a day is totally fine if that's what's going to help you stay on track. The 4th tip I'll give you is to be sure to make each meal about 10 to 15 minutes long. For example, if you're having, a dish that I kind of just described, don't just scoff it down in 5 minutes because you're in a rush. I want you to sit down, be mindful of what you're eating, and spend 10 to 15 minutes to have your meal. So chew your food more, take smaller bites, take more time between bites, and try not to get overly distracted by your phone or the TV as you're eating. Sit down and enjoy the meal. This is really going to help us digest, and so you'll get a little bit fuller quicker, versus if you were to just scoff down a meal and eat it as fast as you can, you're going to be able to eat double what you would normally want to eat because you haven't been able to digest that yet. And the 5th tip is going to be if you're not losing weight after all that and it's been about 2 to 3 weeks and you're actually sticking to what I just gave you, then I want you to try to reduce the portion sizes of the fats and the carbs in your main diet and just keep going. So, speaking in general, protein and non-starchy vegetables are going to help keep you full, the high in fiber vegetables, and those are healthy for you, right? So our carbs and our fats are our energy stores. And so if we're not having as much energy stores, our body's going to resort to the fat that we already have stored. So that adipose tissue, those cells are going to start shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, and that's what's going to help you lose weight, help you lose the fat, and help you get that toned look that you want. Thanks for listening, guys. If you found any value in this whatsoever, please rate this 5 stars on wherever you're listening to it and share with a friend. It helps me out a ton. I don't put any advertisements on this podcast because I know your time's valuable. And so that's the fee that I ask of you, is to please share and rate the show. See you on the next one.